next is contacts. Now, in Western cultures, we tend to have relationships that are centered around how do we know that person. For example, we have work relationships. And in those work relationships, they tend to be very centered on that. We have friend relationships, maybe friends from college, but they don't really interact with any of the other groups that we have. Maybe we have family groups, and they don't intertwine. Now, this is not the same as in Eastern culture. In Eastern culture, relationships tend to be interconnected. And in Chinese, they have this great word called guanxi, and it's the network of relationships. And those relationships can intertwine and mix together. Next is a party. I remember the first party I went to of some Chinese students. We all played games together. We stand around in a big circle and everyone talked together. Now, this is not the same as in Western culture. In Western culture, there tends to be pockets of people that are talking, but there's nothing as a whole group. In Eastern culture, I've noticed that people play big games. The party has an official start and an official end. And in Western parties, it tends to be a little more organic, and there is no official start, no official end. You may go to a party and not interact with every person, maybe just a couple of people. The next is handling a problem. In Western culture, we tend to take the problem straight on. We want to go straight through the problem, we want to identify it, and we want to solve it. In Eastern cultures, they tend to go around the problem. I remember there was a colleague who had decided that he wanted to make his class totally different than the way that the rest of us were doing it. And so he, in a meeting, said, "Hey, I want to do my class this way. Is that okay?" And the leader did not directly tell him anything, didn't say no, just said, "Oh, that's an interesting way to do class." Then the very next meeting, or I think there was an email, was sent and said, "Here is the structure that everybody must do in class." Nothing was mentioned to him directly, but we were all very aware that he was not doing it the right way. There's also a situation with the boss. In Western culture, the boss may just be a little higher than his employees or her employees. Everyone knows who the boss is, but they have more of a friend-like atmosphere with their employees. For example, my boss, I may call him by his first name. He may make jokes with me. Maybe he'll give me a little hug. And you would never see this in an Eastern culture. In the Eastern culture, the boss is very prevalent. You refer to them as the boss. You would never call them by their first name or their given name. And the boss is there and he takes care of his employees, but he's not their friend.